Hello and welcome back to the channel. And in this video, we're going to go over what is flair in football. Now, flair is one of those things where it's kind of hard to pinpoint. A lot of people think of flair as, just doing tricks or just being skillful. And that's definitely a part of it, doing the no-look passes, doing the flicks and the tricks is definitely a part of it. But Flair's a bit deeper than that. There is more of a deeper understanding. And so I thought about this the other day and just thought, what exactly is flair? Because especially here, I'm from the UK in South London. We often use the term, "Oh, that ball is flary," or "That's a flary player." And so it got me thinking, what exactly is flair? And how would you describe it? Because it's more than just being skillful. It's more than just doing tricks and looking like Neymar on the pitch. And so I've written a few things down. Um, and by the way, this is just my personal definition. It's not set in stone. I didn't, just look at someone else's explanation. I did a bit of research. Having played football myself for many years, I just thought, what actually is flair and what's a definition I can just share to you guys. So what I came up with is, well, first of all, what isn't flair? And flair isn't, like we mentioned, flicks or tricks or, no look passes and whatnot. That's not exactly what flair, that's a part of flair, but it's not, again, like we mentioned before, not actually pinpoint what is flair in football. So my definition that I came up with is flair is the extravagant nature of someone's playing style and playing ability. And so I'll repeat that. Flair is the extravagant nature of someone's playing style and playing ability. And so you could also say that flair is just an extra level of expression to an already skillful and creative player. And so, what does this mean for you guys or for anyone who's trying to be more of a flair player? Can you develop flair? Can you learn it and implement it into your game? Or is it just something you're born with? And for me, the answer is yes and no. Yes, in the sense that if you already are a skillful and technical player, and that's just how you are as a player, that's how you play, then of course, yeah, you can, be more of a flair player. What I would say is you just have to, know, express yourself and tap into that side of your game even more. Attempt more outrageous flicks and passes. Because that's already how you play. So you just have to amplify that even more on the pitch, and yeah, just literally, you know, practice that, develop that even more. I know it's a bit vague, just me saying express yourself even more, but yeah, if you want to be more of a flair player, I would say, in my eyes, that's the best way to do it. Where I would say this doesn't work is if you're not naturally that type of player. This is mostly the case with centre backs and holding mids or defensive minded players in general. You tend to be more structured, system rigid players, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We need players like that in a football team, and so not everyone can be outrageously skillful and flary. Otherwise, how will you defend? But yeah, for those type of players, being more of a flair player is more difficult and it's almost unnecessary. That's why when if you ever see these type of players try and be more of a flair player, it can kind of come across as unnatural and kind of forced because especially when your job's to defend first, there's no need to do no look passes and flicks and stuff like that. Now, there is one player that comes to mind, or a few players, but one player in particular that comes to mind who's a defensive player, but he gets away with it, and that's Marcelo. If you remember Marcelo, the Real Madrid left back, Brazilian left back, he always found a way to express himself on the pitch. Extremely skillful, extremely technical. He was very flamboyant. He always attempted those outrageous passes, outrageous touches and flicks. But again, you can see he's just naturally like that. That's in his game to be a naturally flamboyant, skillful type of player. And yeah, you can see even when he played left back, um, he was just naturally that type of player. I reckon you can honestly you can stick him in goal and he would still be able to express himself and be skillful. So yeah, I would say Danny Alves is another one as well. You could say playing fullback, he was very expressive and skillful. But for I would say at least 95 to 99% of footballers, if you're playing anywhere in the back four or holding mid, you want to be more of a structured and rigid player first, and obviously defend for your team first. Um, You can still be obviously technical, you can still be technically sound. We look at players like Rodri, Tony Cruz, you know, very technical players, and they play in somewhat defensive positions. So there's nothing wrong with that. But because we're talking about flair, and like we said, flair is just an extra level of expression to an already skillful and creative player. So it's just the extra bit needed, or not needed, but the extra bit on top of someone who's already skillful. Um, and so that's my definition of it. Um, it's sad because we look at football today, and those type of players are kind of dying out. Those type of flamboyant, skillful, you could call them entertaining players. We have players like Ronaldinho, Robinho, um, very skillful, entertaining players that are kind of dying out, and that's because football's become more of an industrial game now. It's about making the runs. It's about being super fit. Can you get up and down the pitch? Can you attack, defend, do everything basically? I mean, we look at cams these days, number 10 players. It's all about, can you not just attack and score goals, but can you defend for your team? And so those players like Isco, James Rodriguez, Mesut Ozil, you kind of don't have a place for those type of creative, skillful players because they don't do the other side of the game, which is fine, I guess. I mean, we look at teams now; teams are better because of it, you could say. But it's always nice to see those type of outrageously skillful and flamboyant players and flary players, of course. So yeah, that's basically my definition. You can let me know if you have a more in-depth one. I didn't think my definition was too bad. But yeah, I was just thinking about this and I just thought, what is flair? Because we always use this word tongue in cheek. Oh, that guy's flary, or that guy was a flary baller or whatnot, especially here in South London. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you in some way. But yeah, thanks for watching.